I remember the day my life changed. I remember that day so well because Jimmy and I were in the bedroom. We were actually getting dressed to go to a fundraiser, and the phone rang. I wasn't going to pick it up, but I glanced at the name on the phone, and it said, Dr. Sunil Patel, neurosurgeon. I knew this phone call was because of an MRI I had earlier that day. Dr. Patel had ordered the MRI because I'd been in his office a few days before that with some complaints. I'd fallen several times. I'd be walking, my legs would buckle, or even standing still, my legs would just give way. And my feet were numb, and my hands, they felt like they were on fire. So I had all these things going on, so I'd gone to the doctor. So I clicked the button, and I said, Dr. Patel, what's wrong with me? Dr. Patel said, I'm going to need to see you and Jimmy in my office next week. I said, oh, no. Now, I've been a journalist for 35 years, so I knew how to ask tough questions. And I said, no, Dr. Patel, you're going to answer this question right now. What's wrong with me? He said, you have tumors growing on your spinal cord, neurofibromatosis, and you need surgery. A few days later, my husband took me to the Medical University of South Carolina. Now, let me be clear. He didn't walk me into the hospital. He dropped me off on the sidewalk in front of MUSC. Because a few days before that, March 11th, 2020, COVID-19 was declared a pandemic. So if you were not a patient, a physician, a nurse, or critical staff, you couldn't even go inside a hospital at that time. So I walked into that hospital alone and very scared. I woke up about 8 hours later in recovery. If I thought I was scared when I walked in the hospital, I was really scared now. Because wrapped around the foot of my bed were doctors and nurses, and once again, Dr. Sunil Patel. And so I asked a variation of the question I'd asked the week before. I was disoriented and groggy, but I said, what's wrong with me now? And Dr. Patel said, neurofibromatosis was not the only thing in your spine. You also have neurosarcoidosis, inflammation in your spine. You need to undergo treatment and therapy right away. Bam! Neurofibromatosis. Bam! Neurosarcoidosis. I was hit with these two rare diseases. I can't explain it. I don't even understand them. All of a sudden, everything I knew about myself seemed different. Everything about my identity. As a mother, as a wife, as a journalist, I had taken care of this body my entire adult life. I had run 8 marathons, 27 Cooper River Bridge runs. I'd been a spin instructor. I had taken thousands of yoga classes. I had been a bodybuilder. I was vegan. I had done everything I thought I could do to take care of my body. And now my body seemed to be failing me. Within a couple of days, I was taken to Roper Hospital. The staff was warm and caring and supportive, but they were probably expecting TV Carolyn Murray, but that is not who I was. I was a patient. I was angry and scared and anxious. I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't even hold a toothbrush. The pain in my hands were so bad. I was a patient. Out in the world, everyone was on lockdown. But inside that hospital, I felt like a prisoner. But I was still a preacher's kid. And my mom and dad had taught me and my brothers and sisters that when things are good, you pray. And when things are bad, you pray longer. And so that's what I did. I prayed for courage and determination and to be inspired by what I had been taught and what I had seen my entire life. And so when you are in a hospital for that length of time, you think about your life. And I thought about growing up West Ashley and the woman who lived right across the street from me. Her name was Sarah Green Oglesby. We called her Sadie Oglesby. She had this little program called Sadie Oglesby Scrapbook. I would visit her in the afternoons. I would read to her. She would read to me. She went to Fisk University. She had been trained to teach English and Latin, but she was not allowed to teach white students in Charleston County. But she taught me. She taught me voice and diction and elocution and the power of connection through storytelling. And so while I was in the hospital, though the pain in my hand was bad, when I had gained enough strength in my hands again, I tried to reconnect with people through social media. I would talk about my pain, but I would share my progress too. And I was encouraged by the stories and the prayers from people. My connection with Sadie Oglesby was the reason I became a journalist. It was because I believed in the power of connecting with others. It's where you get your strength. While in the hospital, I also thought about meeting one of my heroes, U.S. Representative John Lewis. And when I met Congressman Lewis, my first thoughts were, I remember seeing this man in history books, in that trench coat, the youngest person on the stage at the March on Washington. He was only 23 years old. And so when I interviewed Congressman Lewis, I asked him about the day we would come to know as Bloody Sunday, when he led hundreds of people across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, and he was beaten nearly to death. I asked him, how did you keep getting up? Despite the pain, obviously, in your body, how did you keep moving forward? And he said it was more important that he use his voice and his life to help others. And so when I was in that hospital bed and encouraged to get up and move because of my memory of Congressman Lewis, that's what I did. I tried to keep moving forward. The days turned into weeks, turned into months in the hospital. And I thought about some of the sweet moments throughout my career, like meeting my idol. She only requires one name, Oprah. And when I met Oprah, we laughed and talked, and that meeting was everything I hoped it would be. She was warm, engaging. seemed as interested in me as I was in her. If you know me, you know I ask a lot of questions, and I ask her a zillion questions, but one big takeaway from my questions to her was success. What does success mean to you, someone who has changed the way we communicate as a world? What does it mean to you? And she said, it is doing work every single day with integrity, doing your best work whether millions of people see it or only you knew what you did. And so while lying in that hospital bed, that's what I did. I tried those yoga poses that I had done thousands of times. They didn't look good, but I kept trying in the privacy of the room when no one else knew what I was doing. March turned into April, turned into May. And in May of 2020, I was pushed out of Roper Hospital in a wheelchair. My husband and daughter were there to greet me, but I was surrounded by all these reminders of the hardest thing I had ever been through. I had 2 canes, a walker, a bag overflowing with medication, a disability sticker for my car. But look at me today. I still have these 2 diseases in my spine that the doctors say are incurable, but I have transformed the most difficult part of my life into a triumph. This is a journey of resilience. I am a good mom and an amazing wife. I am a passionate pet parent. I am a good friend and sister. I am a dedicated yogi, and I am a journalist. And I learned while lying in that hospital bed for nearly 3 months that my purpose is to inspire stories and to share stories that instigate courage and determination to keep moving forward. Each of us, every being in this room, has the ability to strive and thrive if we keep moving forward. The toughest moments of my life brought me to this sweet moment on this stage to serve as a reminder to myself and to others. The power of resilience is within us. I encourage you, as I have, to keep moving forward. Namaste.